Hi everyone, this is Balash from RacingBrick. The August 2026 Speed Champion sets have finally arrived as well, so let's start with the most discussed release, the 77263 BMW M3 E30. I already made a detailed preview of this set because a lot of you were interested in it, and LEGO also created a dedicated launch campaign around this model, which is not something we normally see with an individual Speed Champion set. The front of the box shows the car in action, while the back gives us a few more angles and also shows the real BMW wearing the same livery. This is not a historic race car, but a special show car created by BMW as part of the campaign. Let's open the box. The set has 358 pieces, the price is €28 or $30, and it will be available from the 1st of August, but it can already be pre-ordered from lego.com. You can find the link in the description below. Inside the box we get 6 numbered bags, 2 unnumbered ones, the building instructions and a moderately sized sticker sheet. The 2 windscreen elements are packed separately, which is always nice to see. The stickers are printed on a transparent sheet, although none of them appear to contain transparent sections, so we will come back to why LEGO may have chosen this approach. The manual includes the usual double-page introduction comparing the model with the real car, and yes, placing the two next to each other is certainly a good way to start a discussion about the proportions. Here is the part list of the set, now let's start building. The chassis begins in typical Speed Champions fashion, meaning it is already very colorful. Interestingly, the structure uses not 2 but 3 of these wheel support elements, with the third one integrated into the middle of the chassis. We widen the base and add these tiles on jumper plates. The asymmetrical color pattern is already beginning to appear. The first stickers are applied, and this gives us a possible explanation for the transparent sticker sheet. White stickers printed on a traditional white backing are often brighter than the white LEGO plastic around them. This can make the plastic look slightly grey by comparison. Here, the transparent backing allows the white printing to appear less intense, so the stickered areas blend more naturally with the surrounding pieces. The printed elements, stickered pieces and exposed plastic do seem to match surprisingly well. We also get this sticker tile representing the engine. The steering wheel is added, and I really like the way the microphone element is installed as the gear lever. This next assembly is a little more involved, and it includes something that may look strange at first. We use this plate with a printed edge, and then another identical printed piece is placed next to it, even though the decoration will be completely hidden. Why not include a plain version? In many cases, it is apparently cheaper for LEGO to include another copy of an element that is already present in the set, even if it is printed, rather than introduce an additional unprinted element into the inventory. The assembly with the exhaust is then attached and supported by these rods. We continue with more offset tiles sitting on jumper plates, followed by a large stack of transparent elements mounted sideways, because this is Speed Champions and almost nothing is allowed to face in the normal direction. This set contains so many jumper plates and half-stud offsets that it almost feels like an internal challenge to use as many of them as possible. The next asymmetrical mounting method is also quite unusual, and the assembly that follows is even more interesting. This is where we build the iconic BMW kidney grille using 2 minifigure fork elements. The front corner assemblies continue to deliver some very clever techniques. We get more sideways construction, more printed pieces and some nicely hidden mounting points. These corner plates are also different from the ones used at the rear. The front versions have red decoration, while the rear elements had purple. This piece completes the center of the grille, and then the headlights are added. The entire hood decoration is printed. Because the surface is 5 studs wide, LEGO had to divide it across several separate tiles. It is a very unusual solution, and the hood also includes a subtle angle rather than sitting completely flat. 2 more tiles complete the front section, and then we can open one of the separate bags containing a windscreen piece. When I reviewed the unicorn, I initially thought its new windscreen was printed. That was a different element by the way, but it turns out these frames are created using dual molding rather than printing. The black framed element is used at the rear. The front windscreen has a white frame, although it also receives a sticker, and the roof section gets a small support structure in the middle. The final major elements are the new custom rims. They include the BMW logo and are supplied separately from the tires, so they are not dual molded. Once the wheels are installed, the car is complete. Here is the driver. Only the torso appears to be unique, with printing on both sides and differently colored arms. The printing itself is fine, but I find it difficult to understand the relationship between this character and the classic BMW M3 E30. So, here is the finished car, and yes, it is certainly colorful. Interestingly, most of the larger horizontal decorated surfaces are printed. The main exceptions are these two stickers at the rear, although we also get several smaller printed elements around the rest of the model. There are still some stickers, but the color matching is much better than usual. The transparent backing and slightly less intense white printing help the stickers blend with the white plastic. The livery itself, however, is very strong, and many of you said during the reveal that it was simply too much for this car. This is not a classic BMW race livery. It was developed jointly by LEGO and BMW to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the M3 E30. The number 40 is integrated into the graphics, and many of the colors reference the traditional BMW M palette. However, there are also some purple sections, especially towards the rear, which may feel slightly disconnected from the more familiar BMW Motorsport identity. Now let's talk about the wheels. The new rims look impressive at first glance, and the BMW logos are a nice detail. However, the wheels are very large, and when combined with the low-profile tires, they look much more modern than the period-correct wheels normally associated with the E30. Now we arrive at the most controversial part of the set, the shaping. When I first saw the official images, I immediately liked the clever use of the minifigure forks for the kidney grille. I still like the idea, although the pieces need to be aligned carefully because they can rotate slightly. There are many clever individual details around the car. The model is packed with half-stud offsets, sideways building, orientation changes, and complicated mounting solutions. From a construction perspective, there is a lot going on. But when all of those clever techniques come together, the finished car still looks like a very blocky interpretation of the source material. LEGO elements are obviously a limiting factor at this scale. When the entire front is only 6 studs wide, there is not much room to separate the headlights properly from the kidney grille. Both the front and rear overhangs use some very sophisticated construction, but the final shapes may still not look as accurate as many people expected. This is probably the point where we need to remember that this is still officially a 9+ set. As a toy and as a building experience for younger fans, I think it can work very well. It is colorful, unusual and full of interesting techniques. At the same time, LEGO presented this model as an important milestone in its collaboration with BMW. We heard a lot about the long development process, we saw multiple prototypes, and many of you actually preferred some of those prototypes to the final model. So when adult fans and serious car enthusiasts examine the set more critically, I think this is also completely understandable. Based on the comments under my preview video, most of you were expecting something much cleaner. What makes this model particularly interesting is that you can see how much work and how many resources went into it. We get 2 new windscreen elements, one of them is only slightly different from the windscreen used in the Unicorn, but it is still a separate mold. Most of the larger connected graphic surfaces are printed. The remaining stickers have much better color matching than usual. There are plenty of brick build decorations and several genuinely impressive construction techniques, so the effort is clearly visible. But effort and complexity do not automatically guarantee that the finished model will match what the audience wanted. This may still be a big hit with younger builders or people who enjoy the bold graphics, but many experienced Speed Champions fans were clearly hoping for something more restrained and more faithful to the classic E30. I would still recommend the set for the building experience alone, because there are plenty of clever solutions worth discovering. However, the number of printed and specially colored elements will probably make alternate builds and clean color conversions more difficult than usual. So folks, let me know what you think about it. Do you like the bold livery and unusual approach, or do you think LEGO and BMW missed the opportunity to create the definitive Speed Champions E30? Let's talk about it in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications, as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.